Well, now I want to take it back to my first episode of the podcast, which explains when I channeled the soul of Ryan for Madison, aka Natalie Namaste. And I mean, I'm a little biased, but it's a pretty neat story. But I'll explain it quickly that Natalie, myself, and another friend of ours, we did like a three-person tarot reading, group tarot reading, and Natalie read the two of us. I read the two of them. And when I was reading Natalie, I felt what I feel like was for the first time in my life, a really strong presence of spirit and of a specific soul. And that ended up being the soul of Natalie's dearly departed friend, Ryan. And there were just thoughts, images, emotions that were coming up for me when I was feeling this soul that I wouldn't have otherwise known anything about, because I didn't know Ryan personally. I just knew about the way Ryan passed. So I wanted to ask you, like, I remember that night I told you about a song that you both had together, and you told me that you actually had a whole album that you just bought on vinyl like the week before or something. And then I didn't tell you until a week later, but I felt the way Ryan passed. And unfortunately, Ryan's life was taken away from him. And I felt in a certain spot in my body where that pain was for Ryan. So I wanted to ask you, and with sharing whatever you feel comfortable sharing, how did that experience that we had together, did it teach you something about your own connection with spirit? And did anything change regarding your own connection with spirit after going through that experience?
I definitely think that that was a major turning point because, this tragedy had happened in November of 2020. And from that happening, I had a very beautiful experience with Ryan. He visited me physically when I was awake, and it was a beautiful experience. He was in a lot of my dreams. I felt him, but then it kind of slowed down. And during the time that we connected with this, it was a time where I felt very alone. I felt very sad because I felt like I wasn't feeling him anymore. And then I also was going through these feelings of what he actually went through. I never wanted to think about how he actually passed. I didn't want to visualize it. So I kind of put that in the back burner of a lot of in my mind. I didn't want to think about that. I wanted to think about who he was, how he impacted me as a person. But then of course, naturally I had to go through that phase where I had to accept that he passed so tragically. So during that time when you connected with me, it just made me realize that he really is with me, because I was asking him, please give me a sign you're here. I haven't felt you. I want to feel you. Like, please do something. So the fact that I had bought a vinyl of the music we listened to during the time period where you messaged me, it was just confirmation that he really is here, because I have my own personal experiences that I felt with him, but having someone else kind of step in to give me information during a time where I needed it the most was just incredible. So, I know he's watching over me for sure.
100%. Yeah. And I'm getting a little emotional and I didn't think I would, but it's that experience, thanks to Ryan, thanks to your openness, that led me down this path of, first of all, it's what inspired this podcast to even happen. So if it weren't for that experience, I would not have launched a podcast. And it's interesting because for the last 4 or 5 years, I've had this idea, like maybe I'll write a book about people's spiritual experiences or something. I wrote like a page, then I left it in a Word doc somewhere in like my old files. And then this happened. I'm like, I want to talk about this with other people so they know, like, I do not by any means think I'm just a Joe Schmo. I'm more special, as everyone is more special than just a Joe Schmo. But I really felt like, okay, I'm an average Joe kind of guy. Like I'm doing tarot readings, like how fun, and I believe in something. And then this happens. I'm like, whoa, if I'm open to this and I can experience this, then maybe other people can too, in maybe different degrees. But thanks to Ryan and thanks to you, I feel so inspired to share that message with people. And yeah, it's what also led me down the path of doing mediumship development work in circles that I join. And this experience was so special to me. And so I want to thank you for that. So a month after that first experience we had together, it was Halloween weekend, I think 2 days before Halloween, and
Mhm.
we were doing tarot readings for each other with the same friend that joined us for the first time, and we had a similar, if not more intense, experience of Ryan again. And just to let folks know, again, I was doing a tarot reading for Natalie, and I just felt when I feel spirit, and I mentioned this in another episode, maybe 2-3 episodes ago, when I feel spirit, I just feel like the energy in my body shifts. It's as if someone entered, literally like feels like someone entered the room and you just know someone's there. But I feel it in my body, my shoulders, my chest sometimes. And it's not pain. It's just like it's like, ooh, such just a shift in something.
Mhm.
And then I just started telling you, Natalie, what was coming to me. And I think I had written these things down. I have to go back to them. But one of the most memorable moments was when I was sharing with you the emotions he was sharing with me, and he took me through his passing again, but he made me feel like he was so welcomed by the light so quickly, and that he's in such a peaceful place, and he actually made me feel, oh my gosh, I almost forgot this. He made me feel a little bit like a little dose of heaven. And I remember I was crying to you because it was so emotional. I don't know what heaven feels like, but I just felt this overwhelming love. And I'm like, this is where he is. But the most memorable thing that night was when you brought out his boot, one of his 2 boots that you kept. And we I put my hand on his boot because I've never done this with an object before. And we said, well, let's try it. And I did it. And I remember telling you, I think my left hand was holding your right hand, and both our other hands were on the boot. And I told you, like, does he have a cat? You went, yes. Is it a gray cat? Yes.
It was so like everything you were saying, I was just like, oh my gosh, because like I had never mentioned any of that to you,
Mhm.
you know? So it was just so crazy that you just were feeling everything that was true.
And what's insane is I was seeing this gray cat, but it's as if it sounds so weird. Because to me, if someone told me this, I'd be like, you are a little batshit crazy. But there's really what I saw in my mind's eye. It's like I was the boot looking up at the cat. Like I was a boot stored
Mm.
somewhere in a hallway of his home, and I was seeing the cat come towards me as if I am the boot. It was bizarre. But the most memorable thing was when I told you that he complimented my sexy, nice skinny jeans. And do you remember what you said?
I was like, that would be him because, like, just briefly, he was a man who was just so like strong. He had tattoos all over him. But he didn't care. If a man had looked good, he'd be like, that you look amazing. Like he had no, what's the word I'm looking for?
Like he had a very he was confident in his masculinity.
Exactly. And he
Yeah.
would definitely tell you that. Like, I just know for a fact if he saw your pants, he'd be like, wow, those are sexy jeans. Like, he would 100% do that because that
Yeah.
was his personality.
Yeah. I was like, oh my goodness, I'm getting such a nice compliment from the other side. It's tough to get compliments in the real world from guys, but hey, I'll take it. I'll take it. That's even means more to me than anything else. But yeah,
Right.
I thought how funny. I was talking to you and he made me look down at my pants because we were sitting on the floor and both of my legs were to one side. And I just felt compelled to look down at my legs and go, I look good. And then I felt his presence be like, yeah, those are nice, sexy. Like he literally said, those are sexy jeans. That's what I felt. That's what my inner voice told me, that out of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
And I never really look at my own. I mean, yes, I sometimes look at myself and I celebrate myself as we all should, but I never look at my legs and go, those are like legit. Those are sexy jeans.
Right.
It's like I don't talk to myself that way. So it was like out of nowhere. And then the fact that I think you said he used to wear very tight jeans, like what I
Yeah.
was wearing, or tight pants, whatever what I was wearing that night. I remember going home that night and I was just like, wow, that was
And
pretty.
even the hair touch that you did for me.
That's right. I
Remember?
forgot about how oh my goodness. Yes. Yeah. To let folks know, um, we were both very emotional, and I was crying and Natalie was emotional. And I asked Natalie, can I give you a hug? And I hugged you, and I just felt, I don't do this to anybody. I think it's a little, personally, I think it's a little creepy. I don't caress people's hair or like touch their hair. So I told her, I really want to touch your hair. Like he makes you want to touch your hair. And
The
yeah.
thing is that he did hair. He was a barber. And he also, I had a very, very interesting, fun day with him where he actually did my hair one day. This was like when I first kind of connected with him. So that memory was so special because it was just so funny. He was like, I was like, do whatever you want on my hair, do whatever it is that you want to do. So he chopped up to my hair and I look like, what's her name? Oh my gosh, we always laugh about it. Joan Jett. He gave me a Joan Jett haircut. And I was like so mad at him. I was like, why did you do this? And it actually ended up growing out beautifully. So that was like the best haircut I ever got. And it was such a funny experience that we had together. So it just resonated when you did that because it's something he would do.
Like he wanted me to not just pat your hair, but like squeeze it, like in little tight squeezes. And I don't do that. And so when you told me that he did hair, I'm like, oh my goodness, that's exactly why I felt like doing that to your hair when I hugged you. And he definitely meant it endearingly. But yeah, it's that blew my mind. And, I started writing notes whenever I have an experience like the experience I've had with you or with anybody else. I start writing them down because I feel like I easily forget things. I know I did write that down. But yeah, I started keeping a journal when these things happen because now when I look back at all the things I've been through, more the things I've experienced, it's like, wow, there's a lot that's happened in my life, small or big, including the experiences I've had with you that kind of remind me that we are not alone. We are definitely not alone.
Yeah. And I think that by meeting you, it's kind of like not meeting you, but connecting with you more this past year. It's definitely opened my eyes so much more. And I definitely needed that to happen.
When vice versa, we needed each other for what's happening in my life right now and the things I'm doing. I needed to meet you and just let folks know I met Natalie 3 years ago through this mutual friend we have. And we actually connected about Lana Del Rey and like how much we stand Lana Del Rey. And I feel like
that's how I knew I loved you when you were a Lana fan.
And same here. And we didn't discuss these things. I don't think we ever did until we met a second time at Natalie's home with this mutual friend and did tarot readings. And that's when I got interested in tarot. And then the rest is history. So sometimes people, not sometimes, forget sometimes, there's always a reason someone steps into your life, whether they're there for an act of your play or the whole play until the end. Like there's always a reason, always a reason.
And I also think, and I wanted to mention this before, that, I know that you never met Ryan in person, but you were destined to meet him through spirit. And I truly believe that because I personally believe like when we come into Earth, we plan it out and we kind of know exactly what's going to happen and our goals coming back here, our challenges and stuff. So I definitely think that spirit or past loved ones can definitely play a really big part in our lives, whether we've met them physically or not, because that's exactly what he's done for you. So it's incredible.
Yeah, he is an important soul in my soul circle. And I'm so honored to share some of that energy of his with you. And I'm just so happy that he came through the way he did for you. It's amazing. It just shows how strong the energy is on the other side, that they can do that. And that being said, I want to ask you as our last question before we wrap this up, is there a part that you feel your loved ones on the other side, a part they play in the tarot work that you do with clients?
I feel that now. I don't think I felt that before, but I do think that they have guided me, specifically my grandfather who has passed on. I didn't really know him in this physical life, but through spirit, I've connected with him. And I think that he has guided me to get to where I am now. And I think that, Ryan as well is also guiding me, but I don't necessarily feel them as I'm doing a reading, but I do believe that they have pushed me out of that dark headspace that I once was at into a brighter one. So I do believe that they are present.
I feel the same way about my loved ones too. They are definitely part of our, Laura Lynn Jackson, the medium and author, she calls them our team spirit, which is our ancestors, the divine energy, which I call God. and our spirit guides. They're like this team, the spirit team that is all working in everyone's favor, each person's favor, every person's spirit team. So yeah, I totally believe that. Thank you so much for this conversation. I want to give the opportunity to tell listeners how they can find out more about you.
Sure. Thank you so much for your questions. And I had so much fun doing this. So thank you for having me. So if you guys want to find me, I have an Instagram, Natalie Namaste, Natalie with 2 E's, by the way. And my website, which is shopnatalienamaste.com.
And the shopnatalienamaste.com, that has 1 E, right?
1 E, yes. I was able to get it for the website, not for Instagram, unfortunately.
It's the most annoying thing. I've had to deal with that because my name is so generic, Juan. You know, there's a lot of Juans in the world, and a lot of Juans that like to work with spirit. It's like, okay, well, have to adjust. So I feel that. So yeah, not Natalie Namaste on Instagram with 2 E's, and shopnatalienamaste.com with 1 E. Well, thank you so much, Natalie. This was absolutely wonderful. And I'm so excited for folks to listen to this conversation. And I wish you a wonderful rest of your day.
Thank you. You too. Bye, guys.